Hi, this is Wes Fryer, and today is Sunday, February the 26th, 2023. This is my sermon sketch note for a sermon that was preached by Rev Henderson-Belsito at Caldwell Presbyterian Church in Charlotte, North Carolina. This was based on two sermon passages, Exodus 20, verses 18 through 21, and also John 1, the first 9 verses. So she talked about how darkness is oftentimes made into or represented as something really bad, whereas biblically we understand that darkness can be generative, and this is also from life. It can be fertile, pervasive. There were other adjectives that she used too. I actually started making this sketch note a little bit into her sermon, not right from the very beginning. This is so important. She asks us and reminded us to be aware of how sometimes darkness is used only as a metaphor for evil or for sin, and basically for bad stuff. And we need to push back on that. She shared a story about darkness on the beach with her husband walking, and when they only really had her iPhone, I think, for light. But of course, they were not alone in that darkness, and there are many scriptural references to the people of God, God's people, walking in darkness and coming to the light. Daniel 6 and Jonah 2 were two of those. The overall theme of this sermon message and our sermon series in the season of Lent is moving towards resurrection. One of the things she reminded us of here is, this is the last Sunday of Black History Month in February, is that we need to embrace our Black history, as many states and school boards of our nation are seeking to remove it from our textbooks and politicizing the study of that history. She talked about how we need to walk the Via Dolorosa, the way of suffering with Christ, and that's part of what we're called to do during Lent. She reminds us of references in Exodus for God bringing people out of darkness, but then also this reference in chapter 20 of Exodus where God was in the thick darkness. And I'm going to actually read that verse right now. This is from Exodus 20, starting with verse 18, 3 verses. When the people saw the thunder and lightning and heard the trumpet and saw the mountain and smoke, they trembled with fear. They stayed at a distance and said to Moses, "Speak to us yourself, and we will listen, but do not have God speak to us, or we will die." God said to the people, "Do not be afraid. God has come to test you, so that the fear of God will be with you to keep you from sinning." The people remained at a distance while Moses approached the thick darkness where God was. So God, in this passage from Exodus 20, was in the midst of the thick darkness. And so, anyway, this was a good sermon, a good reminder of many things. I have been thinking about this because there are so many ways in which our language, even in like STEM and technology, we talk about white hat and black hat hackers. We talk about the dark web. In Star Wars, we talk about the dark side, and darkness and light are definitely, images and important metaphors that are used biblically, but also in popular culture, and we need to attend to those. But what's most important, I think, in all of this is this idea that we are not alone in the darkness, and that God brings the light, and that Jesus is the light, and that we are moving towards resurrection, not only during this Lenten season, but in our life and hopefully every day of our lives.